Now I'm going to ask Rav Shaya Portnoy, who was an old chaver of mine and Rabbi Hirschfeld from the Mir Yeshiva, as well as a close friend and neighbor of Rav Nosson, to share a few words with us.
Everyone that's here. Now, a lot of the things that I'm going to say were mentioned before, but if a few people see the same things, that's probably true. I was zeicha to spend a week by Rabbi in the house 40 years ago, and we became very, very close. That was I spoke to him. He told me that whatever, he was staying in Muncie. He said it's hard for him to come to me. If I come to him, we spend time every day together. So I took him up on it. I went there every single day from 1:30 to 4. Now, he told me at that time that the Nosson weren't in Beis Talmud, and the great Malin needed a Magachir for the oldest group of boys before the Kollel. And the Dover of Bruce was the higher Magachir, so he took Reb Nosson. So Yankov asked the great Malin why he took Reb Nosson. So he said that he was looking for a person that could be mechanech American bochum. Someone that would be able to elevate them and learn with them. He said that, it says by Yankov Avinu that when he left Yitzchak's house, he spent 14 years in Yeshiva Shem V'Ever, didn't sleep, didn't does. When he went by Yitzchak Avinu, he did go to sleep. It was a different type of he went by Yitzchak. What do you have to go to Shem V'Ever for? So Yankov said that he went to Teres Chutzlaretz. Teres Chutzlaretz meant, he said that the Ovis, they were secluded people. Yitzchak was a person that he sat, was Oved Hashem. He doesn't bring down mices, that whatever, that he was involved with other people. He was by himself. Shem V'Ever lived through the door. They lived through the Aflogen. They were between the people. So maybe they were living between the bad people also. And since they were living between the bad people and the Chozais, they were able to learn Torah. So he wanted to learn that Yankov Avinu should learn the Torah, how to deal with how to be a Ben Torah even when you're not in a sphere of Torah. That's the pshat in Yankov Avinu, that he went to learn Teres Chutzlaretz. So Great Malin said that there are Talmidei Chachamim in Beis Talmud. They were in Europe. They went through Shanghai. There was someone that understands and that he could bridge between the emes of Torah and give it over properly to children that are growing up, bochum that are growing up in America. So for that you have to have someone that's here in America. And more Roy than Reb Nosson, he doesn't know if he has anyone. In the Beis Talmud they had, at that time, that was like the Spitz Yeshiva. It was like the yeshiva in America at the time, to learn by Rabbi. He chose Reb Nosson that he would be the mechanech of these bochum. And my brother went to him for 2 years, and he has a lot of, he said for a satayv to Reb Nosson, that Nosson taught him, and it wasn't just Torah, it was a whole derech hachayim, something else. The Baron Zatzal used to say that his Yisrael comes, that his emunah comes from the fact that he saw the Chavetz Chaim, who saw someone that saw the Goyim. I know that if you see a person who's not a normal, and he's something that you see that's it's a heilige mensch, it's a more of a godly person, so that proves that there's no Rabbi Shalom. So the generation that I grew up in was the survivors. The father had went to Rabbi, he was one Ranovich, he went to Rabbi, went through everything. So these people, it was a different type of emunah, it's a different type of what you're growing up with. And if Nosson was able to give that over to his Talmidim, to his neighbors also, to show that Yiddishkeit is not stam and old. It's not something that's schwer. It's something which fakert. You're proud of it, something to be happy with. It's a simcha to daven, it's a simcha to get up in the morning, it's a simcha to... Everything is in a happy way that you're doing it. You're not doing it because you're obligated to do it. It's a schus to do it. It's mamish a schus that you're part of Yiddishkeit and that you're able to do things. You're able to be mekayim mitzvahs b'simcha. You're able to... Everything is with a... It's a schus that we're part of it. That's something which the previous generation, the Dora, what we call the Dora Yotzei Litta, that they gave over to our generation, is that nekuda of being happy to be besimcha that you're an Erech Yid. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Fakir, you walk around like you're worth $1 million. There's no one like you. So that's something which someone growing up in a sviva where it's not the accepted thing, so you feel like you're obligated to keep Shabbos, you're obligated to do this, you're obligated to do that. Here, it's not an obligation, it's a schus. It's something else altogether. That's something that you saw by Rabbi Nosson, that the way he went to daven, he was always there a few minutes before, and he davened with the simcha, he davened with the diktuk, with the way everything was done proper, and he never insulted anyone. Like in the Maisa, about Kaira, a lot of times makes mistakes. But not everyone realizes that there's the Mu'ra, Mu'el, and Diktuk. It's not everyone is so involved in that. And you could see that he noticed that there was a mistake, but he didn't want to embarrass anyone. It was a different, he had a different cheshbon. And Memele, he held that if it's not al pi halacha, you don't have to, so embarrassing a person is much worse. That's what he... And also, I told Shmuel Shlita that I'm going to speak, so I asked him what I should say. So Shmuel told me that Nosson was a person that didn't have himself in mind. He only had other people in mind. He had it, whether it was his Talmidim, it was the yeshiva, he was doing for other people, not for himself. He wasn't the center of it. He wasn't the one that's going to get all the covet and whatever. That wasn't his interest. His interest was that the Talmidim should grow, the yeshiva should be, and that whatever it costs, whatever it takes, he's willing to do it. Even if I don't get the thank you at the end of the day. He held that was his midah, that throughout his life, it didn't bother him to be second, because as long as the te'elis, there's a te'elis and the tachlis is kept, so that's what the tachlis is. That was what Shmuel told me to say. Now, the Making of a Gadol is a book that was under a lot of vikuchim, a lot of controversies, and the people that came out in the beginning strongly against it, they asked someone to read the book to see what his opinion was. I know. So he read the book, he came back and told the one that had sent him that he doesn't see what's wrong with it. The book is very good. There's a lot of interesting things there. It's a very good book. So the mice, they found someone else to read it. But Al Kaponim, and I think, and I spoke to Nosson about it also, he wanted to show that growing up in a world, when you're growing up, it doesn't mean that you were a gadol when you were a small child, like you said, Shem Rafutna. You grew up, you had your difficulties, you had your Schwierigkeiten, you had your whatever it was that you weren't able to be Matzliach, you overcome it, and that's the way you become a gadol. And Shmei Kahu, making of a gadol. It's not just you're born as a gadol, no, it's how the making of a gadol becomes a gadol. Therefore, he brought down stories of people that, to us, were G'dayei Yisrael, G'dayei Eilim, but when they were younger, they were normal people. They were less than normal, maybe even some of them Bali Tshuva, whatever, but Al Kaponim, you don't have to be born as a gadol. Even if you're not born as a gadol, so you could still become a gadol. But you have to work on it, and you write, in the book there's, I read it on a plane, and it was very hard, because there's a lot of small print on the bottom, which but I religiously read the book, and the Maisa, the footnotes are probably more important than the actual book. That the footnotes there, and also his diuk, in how many people he asked for each story to make sure that he has it right and it's true and there's no mistakes there. It was mamish, it was avoid kosher, it wasn't stop. And that's something which I think we lost out on, because the ones that came out against him, they felt that if we'll speak about G'dayei Yisrael in their childhood when they were younger, that they weren't such masmidim, weren't so it'll give a bad impression of the G'dayei Yisrael. So many of these stories can't be said. Which, again, with Daiti Akusha, I think it's a mistake. I think that for Keret, it gives a bocher a lot of hope, and he knows that even though I'm not a gadol so much in the beginning of a Kaponim, I can still grow, and that was it was a tremendous chizuk for anyone that read the book to see how G'dayei Yisrael grew and what went on in yeshivas. I mean, he brings down over there that Rabbi Aaron Kotler had an aunt that wanted him to go to college, and his aunt sent him letters, and the Alta from Slobodka intercepted the letters and didn't give it to Rabbi for 3 years. Didn't even give over the letters. Until he was sure that he's staying in yeshiva, then he gave all the letters that she wanted him to. And the Alta from Slobodka didn't feel that there's anything wrong with him accepting the letters. And I can tell you, I went to Philadelphia, we got the mail, was cut open. They sent, all the mail was censored. For the same reason. They didn't want us to have bad ashpos, they wanted us to be able to continue what we're doing, so they felt that's the right way to do it. But something like that, people felt you can't write that about the Alta Slobodka, you can't write about the Shidduchim, you can't write about this, that. It's nicht, Al Kaponim, to me, it was a tremendous chizuk, and that to see how these people, when they were growing, how they grew, and what they grew to, and it was something special. Okay, once asked Rabbi Yankov, I told him that Yankov and Moshe and Rabbi were all very short. So Yankov told me, he says that when they were playing sports, they never invited us. We sat and learned. That was the... Yankov also told me that when the Alta in Slobodka built the building in Slobodka, so they had bars sticking out of the building, steel bars. The guys used to do pull-ups on them. So Bochum came to complain that exercises, basis, Talmud is a bad thing to do. So the Koilus Slobodka was like the go-between between the Bochum and the yeshiva, and the Anhol. So he went to complain. He went to the Alter Sabotka and told them that there's people complaining that. So he said that when they built the building, he asked them to leave it out, so Bochum should be able to do exercise. But on the other hand, guys have to complain. That was his. In everything that a person does that's controversial, so there's always someone that's going to have a timer that maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Although if a person has a Messiah and he has it coming from a place where it's Kadesh Elyon, so that Messiah is something that carries him through, and it's something to appreciate, it's something to look up to. And I grew up seeing all these Yotzei Litta, they were father's friends, we davened together, whatever, and I always say that for my children, it's a shame that they don't see these people that were Bnei Torah. We're growing up in a different generation, and Mela, someone that he was a Talmud of Reb Reuven, Talmud of Rabbi Malin. So it's not stam that now Reb Nosson isn't here. Rabbi Malin is gone, Reb Reuven is gone. So the whole Messiah is cut off, and now we have to find. So we're becoming the older people. That's very hard. The Avelos is not just for Reb Nosson. He was from the Sridei Ador, the ones that gave over the Messiah of Klal Yisrael to our generation, and that's something which is a loss. And if we have a Shaya or whatever about how to do, we don't have very many people that still ask, and that's a tremendous loss. And also, you're talking about a course of time, the Maisa, when I worked in Itri with Rav Elephant for a while, very close with him. That was Rabbi Yankov was the shadchan. Rabbi Yankov told me that when Rav Nosson came to Eretz Yisrael, so he was a shtuk upset that he was coming to Eretz Yisrael. Because he didn't know, he says Eretz Yisrael, he told me personally, it's a Yer Shei by Reifen, because he sees all the sick people going to America. So it must be Yer Shei by Reifen, and how do you live in a city that doesn't have Reifen? That was Aleph. And second of all, he says, then it wasn't the style of American Bachman to come to Eretz Yisrael. It was only Israelis, and he felt that in Israeli society, he didn't understand how Reb Nosson would give Kamenetsky. That was his problem. And then after 2.5 years, he saw that he made a mistake. That was what he told me. After 2.5 years, he saw that Reb Nosson came to Eretz Yisrael, he settled in Taka, Ma'abetz Torah, and there is Torah in Eretz Yisrael. So then he realized that he had made a mistake. It should be a schus for all of us that Nosson should be Meletz Yosher for us, and he should be Meletz for Klal Yisrael, and we should understand that Hesped is something not just to cry for the nifter. The Hesped is to understand what the loss is, and through that to try to emulate what he was.